when you approach in here, then bow to her, then pinch the incense and sprinkle top on charcoals and bow. Or you can have a hand together in a bow. So either way. So this is just show your respect and appreciation to her. So nothing contradict your own practice or faith or whatever, so forth. This is just to show that your appreciation. Okay. Then after you finish the burning incense, you can dismiss it back to your seat. Then after that, we will have opening address and shoko by a representative. Then we will have a Yuruzi remembrance and the Gasa Namo Amida Booth. So that time, all the people, please please stand up. After the Gasa, the singing of Namo Amida Booth, I will give a Dharma message, and followed by the Gobunsho, the white ashes. Then we will have a word appreciation, then closing word. Then after the closing words, I'd like to invite everyone at the time, please come up to the burning incense, okay? So before the service starts, please turn off your cell phone and smartphone to make a silence mode. Please, thank you.
Ready? Okay, now service start. Who should I give to the Buddhist name? Okay, so I'll give you that. Okay, now start the service. Samannab, 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 samannab.
presentation of the Buddhist name Shaku Josho means serene awakening. Is hereby presented to the late Nobuko Sekishiro, who passed away on August 17, 2019, at the age of 86.
流天三害中、恩内不の断、清無無真実本社、ナモキエ仏、ナモキエ法、ナモキエ僧。ナマンダ。ナマンダ。奇妙無量寿如来、ナモ不可思議光法蔵菩薩院に寺、在世自在用仏性、刀剣勝仏浄土医、国土人間自然魔、根流無常首相が、長発慶大愚聖、五行四類四小十、中世妙正門寺法、不法無量無変更、無下無体公園の少女歓喜知恵子、普段男児無償校、超日学校小人生、一切群上無交渉、本願名語少女語、死死信用官人、上等逆小内内派、必死滅動願成就、如来小異行出世、唯説弥陀本願会、合俗悪事訓上会、方針如来如実言の発一年期愛心、普段本の特寧派、本上逆法再営入、入手死入会一味、摂取進行上昇後、非の水波無明は、本内心の死運無、超不真実真人天、非如二個分無、運無資源妙無安、逆心謙虚大狂気、即応超絶合悪臭、必切全幕本部に、門神如来偶税願、仏言光大小月社、天人妙分大家、弥陀仏本願念部、邪見教満なく修上、信行十字人にな、南中市南昔、貧の祭典市論へ、中華自治騎士構想、県大小構成小位、妙如来本でおき、釈迦如来両が千に守護妙南天寺、90代自主と性質の財派向け、戦列大乗無情報、召喚技術小女、賢治南行六六、信行異行指導ら、北年弥陀仏本願、次年即時入筆上、類の上昇如来語、方法大非偶税よ、天神菩薩道論世、奇妙無下公如来、平州たら謙信寺、高専の長大聖願、こういう本願力栄光、非道群上昇一心、記入空毒大崩壊、筆逆入大霊収集、特使連営造成会、即昇信用発祥時、有本の人間人図、入賞時四時王家、本師論南両天使、昇降南小菩薩来、 三道ルシ中上教本行専用契約法天神菩薩論中下報道員が県政が高原猫ゆたり気象上心唯新人漠然本部新人法承知承知即年半必死無料巧妙の小修上回復系同社結晶道南省唯明星の活入万全自力変言種変満特合感染症三不三神経音言増物法滅同非一生増悪地偶税死安尿外症明化天道独名仏生意公愛上産業逆は公明明後県人年海日本願第一回教授長寿根和神教知知念相が用意大東逆三人即将発症市場ら原神公開一大教返記安尿官日祭天皇終始反戦時法系二の小円樹国重悪人唯勝物が薬剤非接種中煩悩証言水風剣大気分権上昇が本資元空明仏教連民全幕本部に新宗教商工編集戦略本願偶惑性県内小自林電源軽地域小一小し即入弱上無意楽一致新人に納入空境内死修士と上祭無変極上悪同族自主具のし有意化しし放送説なまなぶなまなぶなまなぶなまなぶなまなぶなまなぶかにしくとくよなせにさいどほつもなひしんほじょあんなとサマンナーサマンナーサマンナーサマンナーサマンナー
Welcome everybody to Nobie's memorial. My deepest condolences to Nobie's relatives. We're now going to have incense offering by various representatives representing Friends, Mrs. Bonnie Nee,
at Dainiba Buddhist Church, Mr. Sekishiro. Dainiba Buddhist Women's Association, Miss Beverly Kawano. We will now have a eulogy by Mr. Glenn Yasukochi.
Before I start, I am videotaping this, so if anybody would like a copy, if I can get your email address, maybe phone and name in case I butcher up the email address, I'd be happy to send it to anybody that wants it. It's pretty amateurish, but it's the best I can do. The human brain starts working the moment you are born and never stops until you stand up and speak in front of a group of people. So for those of you that would like to follow me and say a few words on Nobie's behalf, just remember, freezing up is a human reaction. My name is Glenn Yasukochi. My mother, Yasuko Martha Yasukochi, was one of Nobie's sisters. And although you probably don't remember, many of you might not know me, you might remember something that happened at Uncle Ken's funeral service. I drove my family up from LA. Nobie invited us to a Chinese restaurant for dinner, but my dad declined, saying he wanted to get back home before it got too late. Well, I forgot that I turned my headlights on driving through the morning fog, and my battery died. Several offered to generously help start up the car, but I said not a problem, AAA was coming. AAA called and said that they were leaving because the front gate was locked and we were parked in the back of the lot. I convinced them to allow us to push the car from the back of the lot to the front gate, and then I convinced him to put the jumper cables inside the gate to jumpstart the car. So at least now I have half the problem solved, but the other half of the problem was I was still stuck at the church. I had no cell phone number for Nobie, and we spent hours running, and then I finally got a hold of the restaurant. So I called the restaurant, and it was very busy Friday night, and I said, "This is Glenn calling for Nobie." And I was on hold for a half hour while the car was running. And the person comes back and he says, "There's no Glenn here." I said, "I'm Glenn. I'm calling for Nobie." So another half hour, she comes on. She ended up coming to the church. Fortunately, she had a key to the gate, unlocked the gate, and rescued us. But we had missed out on a great Chinese dinner, home-cooked meals for a burger and Carl's Jr. at Gorman. And what I hope will never happen again is having a problem being at church. During many of the recent years, I know many of my occasions come up were not joyful occasions, but I do remember, I do have happy memories, 2007 of Uncle Ken and Aunt Nobie's 50th wedding anniversary, Nobie attending my own wedding back in '83, and a vague remembrance of attending their wedding in 1957. In fact, just a few years ago, Nobie and a few of my uncles remember my sister Sandy crying at that wedding. All these years, and they remember Sandy crying. And it must have been really loud. She was about 3 years old at that time. I also remember as a child making several trips up this way. But one thing I remember the most is coming up to see Grandma and Grandpa in Carruthers and passing by an airplane with a nose down on top of a building, a gas station, I think that's what it was. I was just wondering if that's still there.
Yes.
It's a memory I've had forever, still remember it to this day. I believe that every family has to have a person or a family member that keeps the family together. And for the Yamashiro family, Nobie was that person. So I think it's fitting that she was the last to go because she made sure that all that predeceased her gave them a proper send-off. And I'm thankful that because of Nobie, I was able to pay my respects to those that predeceased her. And because of Nobie, the Yamashiro family name will live on forever. Like now to say a few words on my sister's behalf, Sandy. She lives in Connecticut and unfortunately could not be here today. Actually, she wanted me to FaceTime and I don't have all this technological knowledge on hand, but she wanted to talk about a conversation she had with Nobie a few years back. It appears that as a child, in our childhood as children, I would like to line up pieces of bread to eat, and then Sandy would come by and snatch it up. So that was Nobie's remembrance of us as childs and children. And she'd also just wanted to say and she made several calls while Nobie was in hospice, that she had amazingly sense of humor going through this whole tough ordeal and that she'll be missed badly. Thank you. Oh, and he did ask, does anybody want to come up and say a few words?
My name is John Sekishiro. Nobie was my sister-in-law. I don't have any anecdotal stories for you, but what I do remember when thoughts of Nobie come to mind is one word: visiting. Those two words, Nobie and visiting, conjures up memories from some 60 years now, in which Margaret, my wife, and I have had the pleasure of visiting with Nobie and Kenji. In those years, we had numerous occasions to have gotten together visiting. We live on the Central Coast and by the ocean, and of course, Kenji and Nobie were in Dainuba in the Central Valley. Some examples of getting together was like in December, there's a low tide at the ocean and brings the capability of going out and digging for visible clams there. And also the low tide would present itself so that we can go out and get abalone off the rocks. Those things are gone now, however. And also when when family-wise would go fishing in the Sierras, we would come back to Dainuba, bring some fish, and then go home. And the other occasion would be Margaret and I would go off on a dance venue, and we'd stop by and visit in Dainuba before going home. Or other occasions might be when occasionally Nobie would find a new Oriental buffet that says, let's go try it. Or meeting halfway between here and the coast just to have lunch together or have dinner together before going back. There were happy ones like Ben mentioned, or the 50th wedding anniversary, or weddings, or sad events of funerals, or just calling to find out if whoever had some spare time, we can get together and just visit. Visiting meant catching up on events, what's new, or just chit chat, and the warmth of just being together. There always was an exchange of coastal produce, along with like produce and vegetables and things from the valley. And of course, we had to always take grapefruit and oranges back home with a full car. Nobie would always gather produce and things from friends around Dainuba Way, and would have them for us to take back to Santa Maria. After Nobie became widowed, we would call to find an occasion, a convenient time for us to get together and visit and exchange. Format continued. And we would typically go to dinner at a Dainuba buffet or Sansei in Reedley, and then we'd fight for the check, of course. Sadly, our visiting with Nobie came to an end with those after hospice. We will miss the visiting. It will leave an empty spot in our minds until the time when our visiting will take place on our eternal visit. Thank you.
We will now sing the Gatha Namu Amidavas. Can you please stand?
And fortune's Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Now, Reverend Nakata will give us a Dharma message.
Again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for observing today's funeral service for Nobie, Sekishiro. Some of you may wonder, why Buddhists have funeral service, why they conduct the service. Because in Buddhism, we conduct funeral service and memorial services, but this is not obligation nor duty. So there's no bachi. Some people know the term bachi, something penalty. So there's no penalty. Then people wonder, okay, then why Buddhists conduct funeral service? Then I say, Buddhism is not religion. So that's why we have no punishment or penalty. Then people question, then why you conduct the service? Then I say, Buddhists conduct the funeral service and memorial services is to remember and appreciate and celebrate and preserve your loved ones' memories. So today we had two persons share the remembrance. Yeah, I'm sure everyone, maybe you may shy, so you are not coming up to talk about Nobie today. But when you're hearing some of the remembrances, I remember how she was doing and this and that. That's the point why we are having a funeral service. Just try to remember. You lost someone who is 10 or 15 years ago. Your loved one, your relative, your close friends. How much you remember? Do you remember their voices? When you close your eyes, you see their faces. Sometimes it's hard. Even you say at the funeral service, when you observe, you say, "Oh, my grandma, we will never forget about you." Then passing 10, 20 years, how much you remember? It's hard. But that's not your fault. That's a human nature. Even we try to, preserve whole thing. But when you scoop a sand at the beach, start leaking. Little by little, you start forget. Even about Nobie, after passing 5 years, 10 years from now on, how much you remember. It's so hard. That's why in Buddhism we conduct a funeral service, and afterwards we conduct a memorial services, like a year after, like a 3 year, 7 year, sometimes 50-year memorial service. People wonder why they conduct a 50-year memorial service. Then I say to remember, appreciate, celebrate the life. That's why we conduct the memorial services. Then each time we ask to burn an incense. And so at the time, at the funeral service or memorial services, we always burn the incense. Then you may wonder, why Buddhists do a voodoo stuff, start making smoky stuff. Then I said, this is not like a magical miracle. This is nothing making any merits. Then people wonder, then why we burn the incense? Start making cough, right? Because it's smoky. Then I say, when you pinch the incense, you can feel, because you're living. Then that's a physical entity. That's why when you pinch the incense, you can feel. Then once you sprinkle top of the charcoals next to it, they start burning, right? So that's showing just a logical understanding of dissolution. The form of the incense start losing the form, deformation. Then in front of incense burner, what's in there? Nobie's ash. So this is showing the process of dissolution. So living person burn the incense, in front of the person's dead, ashes remains. So that's showing the impermanence of the life. Once you burn something, you will never have the same thing again. Like when you cook the barbecue, then you overdone, well done, and they start making like a charcoals, then you cannot eat because that's already burned, right? So like us is the same thing. Every day we just moving forward toward the future, the next day. So we will never back to the passing, even the yesterday. So we always step forward, moving. So the incense burning is showing us, once we step forward, there is no backward. So once we die, there is no backward. Never come back from the ash to the human form. So that's why Buddhism always shows the reality of the life by burning incense. Hey, how you are enjoying the life, how healthy you are, how young you are right now, that doesn't matter. Like a couple of weeks ago, I conducted funeral service who is 3 years old boy. We never know. You know, how long we can live, we never know. Fortunately, Nobie had a life for 86 years, but you know, who can guarantee you can live that long? Sometimes people live short, sometimes live longer, just by happen. Not because that person is good or bad. A couple weeks ago, I had a chance to see the Nobie at the care home. Then she was kind of sleeping. Then when I went there, then I had the incense, so I put them around her. Then she instantly opened her eyes and started smiling. The family said, "Oh, gee, you know, she was sleeping all the day long. Then she suddenly opened her eyes and started smiling. What's happened?" I don't think that's not a miracle, but you know, that's the way how we share the appreciation for the people. Oh, Nobie, you know, I visited you. You know, how are you doing? You know, even she did not able to, she was not able to respond what I'm trying to say, but you know, she could open her eyes and smiling. Then I could felt, even I never met her before, but you know, way how she's smiling, then I kind of almost like start having tears. You know, that's, you know, when you close eyes, I'm sure you know you remember her voices because just less than a month, but eventually you start losing all the memories how you had the sharing the time and love with her. That's why it is so important today to come up here to remember and appreciate and show your appreciation. You know, say your thank you for her. Then start sharing your all the memory to the close families, because not everyone has a full picture of her life. You know, everyone has a missing puzzles. You may have a special memory, you know, how she was doing something bad or good. You know, all the things. Everyone has all the different memories. So please mingle together. You know, afterwards you guys going to the luncheon, right? So please share all the memory of Nobie, how she was doing. Then you start seeing all the missing puzzle of her. Oh, I didn't know that kind of occasion. Oh, I didn't know. So you know, then you start have more memory than while she was living. So that's the special occasion why we conduct funeral service and memorial service in Buddhism. That's why you're here. So I sincerely appreciate each of your time to spend to come here and share your appreciation to Nobie. In closing, I'd like to share one of the episodes written by Renya Shonin that is known as a Gobun-sho, the White Ashes. So that letter was about 500 years ago in Japan. The family lost their loved ones. Then they wonder why we have to lose our loved ones. Why we cannot live forever? Then they wrote a letter to the master Renyo. The Renyo replied with his letter. The letter is known as the White Ashes. So I like to share the letter on the White Ashes in English and traditional Japanese with you. So in closing, please have a silent meditation. On the white ashes, in silently contemplating the transit nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting in this world than the life of man. Thus, we have not harbored human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life passes swiftly, and few among men can maintain their form for even 100 years. Whether I go before others, or others go before me, whether it be today or tomorrow, who is to know? Those who depart before us are as countless of the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever, and when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones may gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. Nothing is more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and old. Therefore, we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha Dharma and awaken to the essence of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we come to appreciate the meaning of this life, which is to be treasured because it is unrepeatable. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize an excellent value of this existence, and let us live together with gratitude in our hearts.
Soれ人間の不詳なる相をつらつら感ずに、おおよそ儚きものはこの世の始終中、幻のごとくなるいちごなり。されば、いまだ漫才の人参の受けたりということを聞かず、一生過ぎやすし。今に至って誰が100年の業態を保つべきや、我や先人や先、京都も知らずわすとも知らず。遅れ先立つ人は、元の雫末の露よりもしげしと言えり。されば、明日には高願があて、夕べには白骨となれる身なり。すでに無常の風来たりぬれば、すなわち二つの眼たちまちに閉じ、一つの息長く耐えぬれば、高願虚しく返じて、通りの装いを失いぬるときは、六神眷属集まって、嘆き悲しめども、さらにその甲斐あるべからず、さてしもあるべきことならねばとて、野外に送て、夜の煙となし果てぬれば、ただ白骨の溝残れり、哀れというもなかなか愚かなり。されば、人間の儚きことは、老少不浄の境なれば、誰の人も早く五章の一大事を心にかけて、阿弥陀仏と深く頼みまいらせて、念仏もすべきものなり。あなかしこ、あなかしこ。ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏。
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Sekishiro family, I would like to thank all of you for your support during this difficult time in your attendance to today's memorial service for my auntie. I'd like to give a special thanks to Reverend Nakata, Mr. Ogata, and Judy Melvin, and to Pro Hospice and their caring staff. I would also like to give special thanks to Wayne, Karen, and Kristen for ensuring Auntie was taken care of during her time of need. if possible, please join us at the Dragon Garden Restaurant. And there's a map inside your program, shows you how to get there. Thank you very much.
It's been going on 6 years now that I've been president of this Buddhist church. And without Bonnie and Nobie's leadership and guidance, it would have been much more difficult. So I thank you, thank her. Nobie and her small group of ladies would always clean the church inside and out. They would always decorate the altar for all our services and provide refreshments after. Nobie also would notify all church members for all events that weren't on our calendar, such as luncheons, or if a member had passed away, she would notify them. I believe she was our most valuable member at the church, and she'll be missed dearly. As I look at the program, I see her smiling face, and I believe that's how she looks right now, because she's back with Kenji and Larry. And so it's closing. Thank you all for coming. And now we'll have incense offering by all the friends here. Thank you.
Because we already did it once.
answer, so we know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you get those flowers?
I did. Thank you. Which one is yours?
I don't know which one's yours.
bit closer, the flowers too. I think that's it. Right? No, I'm gonna do the flowers. Are you just leaving? Thank you.